Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Kokon, for having us to talk on deep state narrative and disinformation, trust, resilience, and what nation states are going to do. Uh, I have a fantastic, vibrant panel from different parts of the world. We have people from Kuala Lumpur, India. Yeah, so it's going to be fun to see what everybody's doing from the government and from the industry as well. So yeah, thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Mr. M.U. Nair, he was the former head of NCSE, Government of India. Ankit Ashokan, IPS, Kerala Police. Christopher Dio from Philippines, and Jairam Ramesh from AI Insurance Digital. Thank you so much for joining us. I think what we'll do is I will start with an intro where I would want all of you to give just your definition of deep state and disinformation, followed by which I will start with the questions. So yeah, Jay, you want to go first?
The word deep state clearly defines what it is, right? So state is normally referred to a country or as a nation operated. I think even which I spoke yesterday as well, what we see is there's a rise in disinformation, and what Gen AI has done is fuel that. So we are right now in a state where it may be for political or even for economic reasons, where there are a bunch of bots, humans who are spreading heavy number of falsified information, which kind of thins the line between what is reality and what is not. I think it's more of a government stuff, which I think if you have someone from the government, they can actually talk in detail on what is the motivations or what is the modus operandi of that. But from an industry perspective as well, we also do see that as a kind of way of blackening or deepening the relationships that people have with their go-to companies.
Antriksh, thank you for this particular question. Firstly, for the audience, I'm General Nair, and I worked as a former National Cybersecurity Coordinator working with Government of India, protecting the cyber landscape of the country or contributing towards coordinating the efforts of various agencies involved. Now, the aspect of deep state. Now, for me, sovereignty is the primary aspect of any nation, and endeavors taken to protect national interests I would constitute as part of sovereignty. And deep state, if it's an element of it, I think it's a welcome step. Because as passionate nationalists, it could be any country for that matter, any measures taken to protect the sovereignty, to me, is part of the ecosystem. Now, if there are measures taken contradictory or to attempting to malign the sovereignty of that nation or influence the sovereignty of that nation, that would constitute anything. It could be on any domain for that matter. It could be part of deep fake, and it could be manipulated. It could be synthetic data. It could be in any form. Today, I think we are living in a world of make-believe, and I think to that effect, deep fakes have very severe implications on national sovereignty.
Hi, I'm Christopher Dio Chavez from Philippines. So pertaining, I work also mostly in the military and also in the side of the private entities. So mostly the DeepSeek is usually unofficial for me. So this is an unofficial elected official or networks that usually inside in the government, right? So mostly this is intelligence or military or institution that will power independently of elected leaders or may secretly influence or resist policy decision. So this is really about the DeepSeek for me.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ankit. I currently look after the cyber division of Kerala Police. So thank you for putting this topic out. And as Nair sir has told, if you look at it from a national perspective, it can be a welcome step. And if we start to think from the days of the concept itself came out from countries like Turkey and all, where there were like a lot of people who were establishing a network to get their motives done or to had their own agenda. What I feel, because I deal with a lot of day-to-day crimes that people face and citizens see, disinformation, fake identities, propaganda, what I feel is maybe the technology has brought the barrier of committing a crime to a very low level, so that you don't need to be very knowledgeable or tech savvy to commit a crime. So I don't know, having a deep state, whether it's a crime or whether it should be for our national goals or whether it should be to protect our country. But now there is no need for a network of people to make a deep state or even to make a deep fake for that matter. So it's like a single point area where a single person can orchestrate things which can manipulate public discourse, create security issues, and even torpedo results. I think we can see all of this happening in a lot of elections that were happening in US, how it has resulted in the loss of public trust in systems which were in democracies like US. So that are a couple of thoughts that I think we should think about. Thank you.
Talking about orchestration, you mentioned elections, and taking some reference from today's morning's keynote on AI. AI is amplifying and helping different organizations or entities to create much better use of technology to create more panic, influence people, and also run successful disinformation campaigns. We've seen that with neighboring countries as well. So what are the regulatory guard rules that we have with the help of technology or policies that government are implementing or having discussions to detect such situations, as well as if there are any in the corporate environment, which, Jairam, you want to talk about, but yeah, the question is open to whoever wants to start first.
We can just give a bit of a background on what regulatory reforms are coming in, especially in terms of AI. So any data that is being used by a corporate, most of the regulations, they require you to have accountability, transparency, and also traceability. So you can use the data if it is AI generated, but not for serving your clients. We don't have those permissions yet in most of the countries. B is, if you are using AI for generating, you need to mention which model were you using, what was it being used. And in third, where there are regulatory related data or anything which is going to impact an individual, especially being in the finance and health sector industry, we need to have proper traceability. Where was it sanctioned? What was the assessment done? How was it validated that this data can be generated using this model? And it should also be mentioned when you're sharing the data out that it was AI generated. Other than that, you are not allowed to share those information out. That is some of the changes that we are seeing. The field is still new. There's a lot of debate going on. If you have seen the news recently, one of the big fours got hit. They were asked to pay back the money that was used for generating a financial report because AI made mistakes. There have been other cases where customers are going back to their consultants, asking them to retrace back their audits, especially in finances, because the data seems to be hallucinated. So issue is still there. And I think it's a journey. It's a new piece of technology. Eventually, I believe we should be able to find that balance.
I will view it from a little macro level. Let's look at it. Before the social media or before we got networked, we still had disinformation. It used to be between houses. Neighbors used to, there are always disinformation amongst communities. Yeah. Earlier, the proliferation of it was limited because it either used to be from word to mouth or through print or electronic media. And probably the reach was also regional, impact was not there. Today, we are in a completely different domain. We have the devices all of us carry, even children carry today. So the capability to influence minds through disinformation is much larger, and in a very limited time frame, you can actually spread it over a large area, immaterial of where it originates from. It can be done from any part of the globe, and impact can be in any part of the globe. Now, can we address this? The technology is also changing so fast. So while you look at it from an industrial perspective, like what the fellow panelists actually mentioned, but I felt that it's very difficult to check technology. The three speakers in the morning, I think they all had given wonderful presentations, and all of them had highlighted this issue that there are vulnerabilities, especially in artificial intelligence. The synthetic data is always available for manipulation. The guardrails, how do you build it up? People, process, technology. Can you have truth disseminated the fastest? Counter disinformation? Possible. But what is truth? What is fiction is something which is very difficult to judge, especially from a strategic perspective. I think the guardrails need to be education. You need to make people aware of what's there, what's correct situation. The AI tools, I think Nathan mentioned in the morning that there are certain precautions which can take as part of what are the databases. Can you have human in the loop for decision making? So finally, the authority to take a decision or authority to stop that particular thing should be with a human being. So that interface between technology and the humans must always be there. And there should be a human oversight at every aspect of technology. That's what could probably reduce the impact of disinformation. That's my view.
So AI is just a tool, and it's not the decision maker.
That's
For me, for this, mostly AI is accessible, sir, right? So for the guardrails, you need to be an independent auditing. Okay, then also the red teaming, and also sharing threat intelligence. So this is really the most important for us, especially the threat actors. It's very clever right now. So another thing is we need also to be more transparency. Like example, do the watermarking. Okay, watermarking standards, so that you can see also the receivers and the platforms can detect AI origin. So this is really more for me the guardrails. The simple as that. Yeah.
So what I understand is tech will always keep on changing, and for law enforcement on the ground level, it's like a moving target. So if we don't catch up with that, we just keep on missing the target. Now AI has come, and now we are talking about putting guardrails on this new technology. Tomorrow something else will come. But what I feel is, for all of this, the best guardrail is the connection or the trust connection that the government has with the citizen. So when new technology comes, criminals use it to do various types of crime. But then that is when we wake up and we start our own fact-checking, our own information sharing. So I think we try to build that trust or that channel when there is a problem or there is an issue. And awareness, education, and this trust building has to be a long process. And if that system or that framework is strong, any technology, even if it comes like at any time and it can be used in any way, we will have systems and mechanisms to counter if it is used for disinformation or to like target a organization or the government or any other critical infra.
I have a question for both the government panelists over here. We have seen countries, for example, country A says during sensitive times that country A has destroyed so many aircrafts of the neighboring country, and country B says we have destroyed so many, say, hospitals or refineries of neighboring country. But we as common people, that's the C, so A, B, and C. What the C says, the common people doesn't know who to believe because we're getting news from different places, and there's no way for us to get to know what's the truth because it is all either disinformation or it is sensitive information which the country doesn't want to reveal or speak about. So how do we common people believe what's fact, and how do we do fact checking over here?
Ankit, I'll take on this question, first part of this question. Okay. Now, understand this, that conflicts between nations has been there right from, it's been part of human civilization itself. You look at our mythology, hasn't disinformation been used in Mahabharata? You look at the entire story woven around how, I think, Ashwatthama was used as a mode of, causing death to one of the premier warriors of the Kaurava dynasty. So that's through word to mouth that, that disinformation campaign took place. So conflict situations always impacts on what's truth. And that's what I mentioned, that today it's a scenario where truth and fiction are two different elements. So what is right and what is wrong is very difficult to judge during conflict situations. Now, how do citizens of a country believe in what's truth? I think the best method to do this is through truth coming out through governmental measures like the Press Information Bureau or the Ministry of Information Broadcasting, giving out the truth. So this time, when we had a conflict situation, we had a well-organized press briefing, etc., which was regular. I won't say that it was perfect. There were a lot of disinformation campaign, which will happen during such situations. It happened even this time. But the government came out very clearly saying that, okay, this is what has happened, this is what's not happened. And also, situations during crisis like this demands some sort of security for some information. Every piece of information cannot be revealed at that point of time. It can lead to implications on the battlefront. So, measured information release took place, and that's one of the methods to control disinformation during conflict situations. But we need to have better procedures, and I think the government is already working on better methods of dissemination of information, timely, and it should reach, today it should cover not only the country, but it has to be a global information dissemination system. In the language, probably they understand. So this is something which we need to work on, and I'm sure the government is working on it.
So I think, Antriksh, you asked it from a very citizen or a very common man perspective. Now, the question itself comes from a point where there is a conflict situation or there is a adverse situation, and whatever information your government is giving, you are not believing it, right? So I will latch on to the previous statement that I told. So there is a lack of trust, and that cannot be built on the day when this conflict is happening. That trust has to be built over a long period of time. So when we look at countries which are having very stable governments, this idea that there is a deep state which is trying to topple it will not be there. In the sense, because it's a stable government, it has been there for some time, it has built a communication channel with the public. Political parties, elected governments have n number of ways to connect with the public. So I think it's the official channels, the ministry handles, the press briefings are all there. But then there is an informal channel also which has been built over a long time. So it may not be the government channel or the ministry's channel through which the right information goes out, but the other relation that has been built. So the trust has been to be built previously before disseminating information. And if we want to take an analogy, the newspaper that we used to read before all of this digital print and all this information was offloaded to us, we will say that, oh, that I read in that newspaper and it's got a good legacy. Those reporters won't write something which is false. So that is the trust, I think, the government should build, and then I think everything else and the channels and everything else will automatically come into place.
I must say that we all are here because we are building trust with the law enforcement agencies. And this is an amazing example where the Kerala police is talking to hackers and the community to build trust and engage more. So yeah, I just want to mention that since you mentioned trust. Now let's go to the corporate industry, right? The same algorithm which is used to create disinformation or campaigns can also be used to influence the industry for corporate business profits. And what if your algorithm is used for a negative business case, right? Would you see corporates sacrifice the usage of their tool over business interest? Have you seen such situations? Do you think they will cooperate with the government for sovereignty, as you mentioned in the opening?
They do. So simple example is if you're a large enterprise where you are built on trust and relationship. For example, where the one I work in is 110 years old. So it's a pretty old company. We rely on human trust and relationship. And if a regulator or anybody actually catches you doing that, you could end up losing your license. So would you want to risk losing your license for small materialistic short-term growth, or would you actually invest in the trust you have with the people, maintain it for a long-term maturity and growth? That's where most of the corporates actually do it. And I believe there are people who use it. Personally, I do know of such cases, but that is very small. Normally within the large players, it's very limited. Small and medium scale enterprises, yes and no, because when they look at the risk perspective, they don't have much to do it, or they're literally crashing down and they need the last thread to hold up. So those are the scenarios where people do go on the extreme side, but generally they don't.
So have you seen such situations? Because major companies which are governed by much powerful Western countries may not collaborate with other nation governments.
I think every country needs to develop its own indigenous ecosystem. I think the days of global corporates working on IT domain, I think we need to soon change this and have indigenous ecosystems or bilateral or multilateral forums forming to have trust between each other. Algorithms could be used by both governments and by the industry, and I don't see any challenges to that. But how you use it finally, governments should use it for welfare of their citizens, for provision of services, etc., while the same algorithm could be used by private industry too for their own purposes. I don't see any conflict of interest here. And if it is manipulated, I think we should have inbuilt guardrails for both. The government should have its own mechanisms for checking if there are any variations, any challenges to the ecosystem which they have created, and so also the industry. So I think peaceful coexistence is possible, but it's time that we look at indigenous capabilities. That's something which I want to put across.
Yeah, for me, we need to better the research program. So this is a legal safe harbor. Usually we got fear of prosecution. So this is usually important for the researcher like me to scope disclosure agreements so that it will be share the findings and vulnerabilities without any fear of prosecution. So this is really important for me.
I have the last set of questions because we're running out of time. Looking forward and building the future together, any actionable steps that your company or corporates you think are dealing with when it comes to disinformation or deep state narrative that your organization is going to take, or you'll have policies that are being discussed?
The saddest part is from a corporate level, I still think it's a board item that's being discussed. We do not have clear directions of how do we deal with this matter. If you look at the World Economic Forum, one of the key things that was discussed was on disinformation. And even if you look at it from a corporate perspective, espionage has been on the increase. We do see a lot of governments taking interest in what corporates are doing. they themselves are sharing information so as to improve their revenues on their local organizations. It's kind of hitting us. It's something which is both good and bad. The only thing that we do have actual control on from a corporate state, unless you are handheld, tied in a public-private partnership, is what comes out from your organization. So it's kind of like a situation where you are tied behind, your hands are tied behind your back and you're used as a punching bag, and you're still supposed to defend yourself. So again, like I said, it's something which is going on, and I think, or I hope, governments will take a more stronger approach of coming in the front and shielding the organizations. I mean, till then, I think it's best man wins.
Okay, I think the method of combating deepfakes is something, it has to be a global measure. I think you mentioned about watermarking. Now, watermarking is one solution. Can we have a digital identity or a timestamp or a location stamp of that original data which originates from any device for that matter? Can the world move towards it to combat deepfakes? I think it's a utopian dream, but I think we need to work on such concepts because we're going to be going to an era of much increased connectivity. And today, data is generated even by machines. So you won't know whether it is human generated or it's machine generated. Now, how do you combat deepfakes in such a scenario? This is going to be a major challenge for future. So can we have some imprint left to show authentic data? I think we need to work. This is the world bodies need to work on it.
Actually, I'm writing right now a code on detecting this deepfake. So mostly I'm doing coding, especially for this new kind of technology. So this is usually alarming for me because mostly AI is almost right now working. So a lot of criminals, cyber criminals, use this kind of technology. So we need to have a detection tool, a robust detection tool against about this kind of deepfakes. Yeah.
So my take on this disinformation is a bit, if you think from the very normal common man's perspective, empowering every person to at least check on what they are receiving on their phone. Like, can you do a reverse image search to check what you have got is correct? Are there any inconsistencies which you can see on a digital image? Can you take a screen grab of a deepfake video and see with the original person's image and see? So these are the kind of, like, everyone has tech and gadgets, but are you just idly sitting and consuming all of this without engaging with it is the first question. If you come on to another level of the organization, because all of this tech is generated, used and monetized by a lot of corporate bodies, it is their infrastructure, it's their ecosystem which is used to commit these kind of crimes. So how do you make your system foolproof or in such a way that it is not abused and used to generate that kind of disinformation? Like, and the algorithms, as far as I understand, push out data based on engagement. Negative news and negative media gets a lot of engagement. That is what is pushed out, and government and systems which are there, we have standard ways of communicating which may not be as flashy or engaging with the public. So that is there, and I think from a very larger perspective, if government tries to put in a tool or check in such a way that let's stop all of this AI deepfake, or let's stop all of this disinformation, come up with strong laws, I think then we are going to cut out and cut out the trust factor that we were talking. So I think it is going to do us more harm when we try to come up with a super tool or a super law. So I think that is going to be counterproductive. That is my take.
Okay. My final remarks would be, let's build trust with the community and hackers, with corporates and governments, and let governments continue doing their operations to protect national security without fueling and feeding various disinformation campaigns. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.